So in this video, I want to share a little bit of perspective around my own personal journey of understanding what makes us happy and how to live a happier life. Because if I'm honest, this year, more so than, the previous couple of years, I've really not been as happy, certainly as when I started in business. And a lot of this year has been around understanding why that is. I started off this year doing a lot of events, really looking to explore some of the bigger questions like, why am I here? What is my purpose? Like, what is the value that the businesses are going to give to people, and how are we going to make a difference in the world, and all this kind of thing. And it really kick-started, I suppose, a personal journey to understand why I've not been feeling anywhere near as fulfilled and driven and motivated and lit up as I was when I first started in business. Now, I just want to say as well, if during this video, if you can relate, if you do like or understand or you've experienced what we're talking about here, hit like down below on the video. And also, if you do have a perspective to add, really want to hear that perspective. So please do comment below with any thoughts or any questions or anything that isn't quite clear. And always remember that if you do want videos like this every single week, either like this one or more focused in online business, then subscribe, which again is down below, hit the little notification bell, and then you'll get a reminder whenever a new video like this does go live. All right, so this journey really has been about, as I say, reflection and understanding what really is it that makes me tick and that makes us tick and that does make us as human beings really feel that happiness and fulfillment. Because when you boil it down, everything that we do, every goal that we have, every future that we're trying to create, every action that we're doing is really with the intention of feeling better in ourselves. Think of a goal that you have. Maybe it's earning a certain amount of money. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's reaching a certain level of physical fitness, or maybe it's, finding the partner of your dreams, or whatever it is. We're working towards that goal because of how we think it will make us feel. We don't say, hey, I want to start a $1 million business because then I'll feel like crap and I'll hate myself. Nobody does anything with that motivation. Or we don't say, I want to get in great physical shape because then I'll feel completely trapped in my life and I'll feel that everything's hollow and empty. We don't do things because we think it's going to make us feel like crap. We do things because we're looking for that feeling of accomplishment, of satisfaction, of fulfillment, of peace, of contentment, of whatever it is. We're looking for a feeling as the outcome, a feeling attached to the outcome. Human beings are creatures that are built on how we feel. The only thing that matters is how we feel about the life that we're living. And if we feel like crap, we want to change. We want to, create something different in our lives so that we're feeling a different way. So when you boil it down, with that in mind, if everything we're doing is about feeling happy and fulfilled, then really the only ultimate goal is how do we feel happy and fulfilled in our lives? And what I've really, started to boil it down to is 4 key areas. Number 1, you've got your mental well-being and peace, your peace of mind, your mental well-being and peace of mind. Number 2, you've got your physical health and fitness, because if you haven't got your health, you can't really do anything else. No amount of money, no success in business, no success in any other area of your life really matters if you don't have your health. Okay, so number 2 is physical health and fitness. Number 3 is to do with a purpose-driven challenge. You're working towards something, you're creating something that you're passionate about, something that matters, something that makes a difference, something that you can really get your teeth stuck into, that's giving you that energy, that enthusiasm, that fire, and that purpose-driven challenge is so important because if you look at Tony Robbins' 6 human needs, that encompasses 5 out of the 6 human needs. If you get that part right, 5 out of 6 of Tony Robbins' human needs are covered. So a purpose-driven challenge will give you certainty, it will give you variety, it will give you significance, it will give you growth, and it will give you contribution if you're focusing on making a difference to other people as part of that purpose-driven challenge. right? So for most of us, business is the outlet, entrepreneurship, creating a company. Like that's the outlet for a purpose-driven challenge. Or it could be, charitable work. It could be that your purpose-driven challenge is to really make a positive difference in the world. Maybe sustainability, maybe helping the homeless, maybe, prevention of animal cruelty or whatever it is. But that purpose-driven challenge, like at the core of being a happy human, like it's really important to have that. And then finally, number 4, which actually in the biochemical way that happiness works, number 4 is kind of the most important, and that is love and connection with other human beings. So the way that humans are wired and the way that we work biochemically, when we're connected with other human beings, it releases oxytocin, it releases serotonin, it releases all those feel-good bonding chemicals that will make us feel great and that will really provide positive benefits in terms of health, in terms of, again, mental well-being. If you take a human and you put them into isolation, for example, Alcatraz, they used to, I think it was called the Hole, where they would take prisoners who had broken the rules within Alcatraz. They would put them in what was called the Hole, which was complete isolation from everyone. In darkness, no sound, no light, no humans, no nothing. People go insane. Like, human beings are not wired to be completely isolated and completely alone. And there's real serious health implications from long-term not feeling that connection, that bond, that trust, that, the feeling that you can depend on other people. You've got other people have your back. If that's lacking, that is a real long-term impact on our health. And so for me, when I looked at those 4 areas, mental well-being and peace of mind, physical health and fitness, a purpose-driven challenge in my life, and love and connection with people, to some degree, some more than others, I've been missing in all 4 of those areas in my life. And so if I look at, why is it that this year I've actually felt a lot less happy than I have in previous years, it's all down to do with those areas. And so now what I'm looking at is, well, how do I construct my life in such a way that ensures that I cannot sabotage myself out of not mastering all of those areas or not focusing on all 4 of those areas? Health and fitness is a prime example. Like, in the first 6 months of this year, I was really on top of my health and fitness. I'd be working out consistently 5 times a week in some form or another, whether it was like, HIIT training sessions 3 times and a run, and, I'd be doing yoga and stuff as well. Like, or if I was traveling, I might go to a gym. Like, if the hotel had a gym, I'd be in the gym a couple of times a week, plus some other, things as well. So I was always doing 5 times a week. I was doing something in terms of health and fitness. And in the last few months, that's really slipped. And the reason that slipped is because in the earlier part of this year, I was holding myself accountable to it and tracking it and actually publicly declaring those results. And I was doing like a 90-day challenge as well. And I had no choice. I'd held myself accountable. And the challenge was, if I didn't do what I said I was going to do in all areas of my life, one of which was health and fitness, then I was going to donate, it was £5,000 per category. I had 4 categories of like different areas of life, and it was £5,000 per category if I failed, that I would donate to charity. And so I was holding myself accountable. And I've since learned that there's something, it's called a Ulysses contract. And it's basically, I'll spare you the story if you haven't heard of it, but Ulysses, essentially, like, it's a contract that binds your future self into having no choice but to fulfill on what you've said you're going to fulfill on. Okay, so an example of that would be financial forfeits if you don't do what you've said you're going to do, or you publicly declare something. And so a Ulysses contract, in essence, is you saying, I will do this, and you're telling other people that you're going to do this, and if you don't do this, you will suffer this consequence, or you will hold yourself accountable to that consequence. You're essentially binding yourself into having to do it. Anyway, the point is, I've started looking at, if these are the areas of life that really make us happy, and in particular that connection with other human beings, what is it that I can do through the lens of a Ulysses contract where I bind my future self into having no choice but to put myself in situations that will cause that area of life to thrive. You know, like meeting up with friends, for example. It's very easy for me to make excuses and just always say, I'm too busy, I've got too much on, I'm not going to, you know, and weeks will go by often where I won't connect with the people that matter most to me in my life. And so we've got to make sure that we're making time, we're blocking out time, or we're binding ourselves in some way to actually connect with people in that way. Right, and so that for me is, you know, really something that I'm going to focus on, because I know how important it is to my happiness now to really be feeling that connection with people. And I want to share something else with you as well that has been particularly prominent, certainly this year, and that's that even when I'm with people, I've really started uncovering that I have a lot of sort of blockers from my past, or limiting stories from my past that I've created, which always mean that I'm keeping myself kind of at arm's length from people, or keeping people at arm's length from me. Like on the surface, we'd all be friends and it would look great, and I'd be going to these events and whatever and meeting up with people, or it would look and feel like it's the real thing. But in essence, there would often be it's like I was being a character that I was expected to be, or that I'd created that I was expected to be in that social situation. So it's like I'm putting forward this character of charismatic social Dan who connects with people and gets on and everyone likes him and blah, 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 right? So that's the character that I'm putting forward. And that inauthenticity, because it wasn't really real, it's still me, you know, but it's a projection of me, which is in a way false. It meant that there wasn't really that true connection, that deep connection with people, because I'm always coming at it through this lens of, like, how am I looking in this social situation, or who do I need to be in this social situation? And the way that you can start to identify this is think of like different groups of friends that you have in your life, and do you act differently with those different groups of friends? Do you show up in a different role, in a different dynamic in that situation with each of these different groups of people in your life? And the answer is always going to be yes, generally. And it's because we're projecting a different version of ourselves into that situation. Like, are you with your colleagues and your boss versus your friends from high school, or versus, like, you know, the people that you're closest to, like your family, for example? Who are you in those different dynamics? And if we're different, which we generally will be, then that's a projection of ourselves. And it's almost like that's creating a barrier between true, authentic connection with other people. And so to boil this down, the one thing that I've really, in the last few months, started recognizing just destroys those barriers, just breaks those barriers down between you and another human being, is completely authentic communication and sharing. Deepest fears, you know, things that are coming up in that moment, or things that are holding you back, or conversations that you don't want to have with people. Basically, where the fear is, where the potential awkward conversation is, where the place that we don't want to go with someone, that is where the true connection lies. You know, for example, like this video, I don't want to sit here and say to, you know, you watching this video, hey, I've been creating blocks between people and I don't connect with people and I've just been stuck in my own head, and, you know, that has caused me to really feel unhappy and unfulfilled. Like, the character that I would be presenting in these videos is like, hey, I'm a leader, I've got my shit together, let me give you some advice to help you in this area of your life, right? That's what the character wants to do. I want to be this leader who's got it all figured out. Actual fact, I haven't got it all figured out. Like, you know, I've done a lot of work in this area of my life, and I've learned a lot, but to pretend that I don't suffer with the same things to some extent that every single one of us as a human being does, that wouldn't be that wouldn't be real. That would be false. And so that inauthenticity, that would then create a disconnect where I don't quite feel that I can be myself, and it's that feeling that I can't be myself because of who I'm making myself have to be that is creating that disconnect, which is fueling the unhappiness. Right? So the key for me in this sense, like if I was to communicate in this way, the absolute key is to be real. Say, hey, I'm like struggling more than I have before to feel happy and fulfilled and connected with other human beings. And here's what I've realized as a result of that struggle, and this is what I'm going to do about it. You know, that authentic sharing that I don't really want to share, but that's what it takes, that's what's going to create more connection. Because when people see that you're real, like if you were to, say, be vulnerable with people in your life and share something with them that you've been keeping because you didn't want to have people know it, and you share that with them, that then gives permission to them in that space. You've created a safe space for them to be real with you. And whoosh, that's where connection is formed between people. Oxytocin's released, serotonin's released, and as human beings, we then feel a lot more connected and fulfilled and looked after, and our physiology and our biology is supporting happiness and fulfillment. All right, so hopefully that perspective helps give you some insights. This is kind of what I'm working on. This is where it's come from and why this is a big theme for me at the moment. And if you do, as I say, if you do have perspectives to add anything else that you've found that has really, really helped with becoming happy and feeling that fulfillment in your life, then please like the video and please comment below as well. A lot of people do get value from the comments, so please do share your perspective. And also, if you do want more videos like this, then hit subscribe, bottom corner right now, and you will get videos like this every single week, both around this kind of topic and also online business too. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope it has helped, and I hope you have a happy and fulfilled week. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.